Hey traders, welcome to Trade and Train's Forex overview. We're just looking at the dollar index and then we'll focus on a couple of the major markets, a couple of commodities, and then obviously with the news this week surrounding Brexit, deal or no deal, we'll look at some of the pound pairs. So first of all, looking at the dollar index here, what we'll see is we've got a descending wedge or falling wedge. Price broke out of it, rallied back up into our 95 area, and then we saw a double top right through 96. It's broken out of this little box range it formed just here, had a little retest, and it's come down into 95, and we can see now price is struggling through this area here. Now basically what this is insinuating is now the dollar index, are we going to see the bulls come into the market and take this price to the upside? And if we do, we'll probably see it at least test 95.34, where we'll see it struggle again before it moves on towards 95.66, or it's going to come back down. Preference here would be a short-term breakthrough support, purely because there's further room for movement down to 94.40 into this little zone here. So what does that translate to when we look at the other markets? Well, euro dollar, you can see, is the absolute inverse. You've got your rising wedge, price breaks out of it. We have movement down, then a 50% retracement back up into this horizontal here. Whether you want to call it a resistance zone or a supply zone, you know, both are the same. This is where the market started to decline. We saw the market put in a low at previous resistance, now becomes support. Price has rallied back up into the 116 zone. Now we've seen it, the bears come in initially. Ideally, to see some sort of continuity, I'd like to see this 116 zone broken. If we come back down into 115.40, then what we're seeing is a range bound market formed before we get any sort of continued direction. So preference here, as with the dollar index, would see a break to the upside, and if we break 116.15, 116.20, I look for a break and retest. Trade that all the way up to 118. We'll go over to dollar yen. Dollar yen is probably one of my charts of choice at the minute, primarily because of commitment of traders signals we've got. Trades were in from 114.50. We've seen the market break down. We didn't get a deep enough retracement into here to look for an alternative, an additional trade, I should say, rather than alternative. Market broke down. We took out 112.80. We had nice trades through there, and then we've traded the top of this range a couple of times down into 112s, and then today we've had another breakout. And if I just drop down a smaller time frame, we broke out of this box range that's formed. I'll just draw this in for you now so you can see this box range here. See the box range that was formed. We've broken out, we've retested. So now we're looking at this market to drop to the downside, which would continue to add to not just dollar weakness on this instance, but predominantly a safe haven buying. So we're seeing money flow leaving equity and going into gold and yen and silver. We're seeing the safe havens being bought up at the minute. So in times of uncertainty, look for those transitions. If we see weakness in other markets, then you want to pair that with the yen. So look for those yen crosses. You could see some really attractive moves there. But right now, dollar yen is probably my preferred chart in that instance. Where could it go to? You know, we look at this next sort of move down if we break through these lows, because you can see a bit of structure there through 11.67. Next sort of move down is going to be down 110.70 in this region here. This is where buyers' demand came in last time, and then next leg down will be 110. So I think this is what we should ultimately be looking for first target. So look for that move to continue and break through. If we take out 11.64, we should see 110.64 met. Dollar CAD. You can see we had a long trade from down here. This hit target. There's nothing really in this chart for me right now. I'm not looking at any trades here. Kiwi, I'm currently long. We were looking long from down here. We waited for the double bottom to be formed and took the retest, but we banked all those trades last week, and we've added in on this retest here. And then today we've actually taken another trade here on the 15-minute chart. I'll just drop down, show you what we did, which was clear resistance. We broke out, we've retested, and you can see the nice return we've had on this so far. Whether you want to take profit out right now or not, that's down to your personal rules. If you are looking for a little bit of coaching and understanding of how we do things here to formulate your own plan, we are hosting a couple of events this month, one on the 24th in London and one on the 25th in Birmingham. If you would like to attend, drop me an email and I'll send you the link for registration. It is a free event and we'd love to see you and any fellow traders join us at the event. Any questions, feel free to ask. It's an open house. Kiwi we looked at. Okay, let's take a look at gold and silver before we go into our pound pairs. So essentially what had we seen here? Gold had been in this trap range between sort of 1209 and 1184. We broke out, we had a nice move up. Today there's potentially, we've seen it test once, but you know, I'll be looking to see what happens at 1224, where we had this big bullish momentum candle followed by the doji. We've seen the tip of this wick come down, test it once. Will we test it again, and will we see some momentum? If not, we're probably going to see gold come back down, test 1209, but my honest opinion will be I would expect to see bulls come back in at 1224, so look for that move from 1224 back to the upside. Potential targets on this at least up towards 1300, but I'd be taking money off the table 1250. You see nice little bit of structure through here, but yeah, all the way up here is definitely a very reasonable target forecast based on equities and what we're seeing there, and the market's taking a decline before we get the potential Christmas rally. Okay, silver, just take a quick run onto this one. So in our COT club we were long at 14, we had a limit orders in at 14. We've taken a retest on this trade here, which if I just drop down you'll see the breakout of consolidation. This box range again you can see through here, I'll just put this in. So all this range here, we see it break out, it came back, retest, we've taken trades through here and stops underneath here, and we banked everything last week on the close here just before it went up and touched 15. Our next move on this market is we're waiting for a close above $15, and then we'll look for that retest on that market. We've taken trade through here, break of the CTL, but again, this is, again, you've got to understand what you're doing with these markets and how to protect yourself from sudden irrational movements, i.e. when are you banking, what's your trade management. You should know all this prior to entering the trade. Okay, so we do have a long-term trade from 14 which we took based on commitment of traders, and then all this wobbleness and shakiness in the equity markets is just adding to our trade and helping move it north, which is fantastic. But no more trades now on this market until we see a clear close above 14.95 above this wick here, and then we'll look for a retest of that level. Okay, so moving on to the talk of the moment, which is all the sterling pairs. So we've looked at pound. What we're seeing here, well, we've got a nice sort of cyclical movement, third movement up, third impulse movement up, potentially forming a lower high. We've seen it break this short-term trend line here. We've come up to retest off the 50% retracement. So I'm only looking for short trades to do with sterling pairs currently. Not the rationale behind that is, regardless of what the outcome is, I think it's going to have a negative impact. Yeah, we might see short-term rallies, but if I get my setup for a sell signal, then I'll be taking the setup for the sell signal. I'm going to be I want to see more of a decline and depreciation in sterling before I look for some long signals on this market, because predominantly over the last few months we've been seeing rallies. So now I want to see a little bit of a shift in sentiment, i.e. and we'll probably get that from Theresa May and the EU, and whether they can come to some sort of agreement or not. If they do come to an agreement, we'll see a bullish spike, I think, followed by a decline in sterling prices. If we look at pound yen, so this would be a market I'm very interested in. Reason being, I'm expecting more yen strength, and as I've already just said, I'm looking for ways to sell sterling. Box range, you can see that quite clearly here, rejecting the 49.50s and 47. It's been bouncing between the two. We've got a short-term trend line here that it's broken, and now we've come up to retest this zone that you can see highlighted here. So short signals now, looking to take this market to the downside. Next stop, realistically, 145, and then probably 143. So I see a lot of downside to this market, but let's see what happens. Pound CAD, well, we had a lovely zone here to be looking to get short. It broke out. Turns out it was a false break. I think now really there's no real clear setup on this just yet, so I think you're gonna have to wait for more information on this one. Pound Aussie, let's just clear everything for a second. Just gonna go up to the higher time frame. Okay, so the weekly chart, we've seen potentially a false break above the upside. We've gapped down below the weekly candle low. We've come up, we've closed the gap. Question is now we're going to roll over. If we do roll over, expect to see 179. So that's a good 500 point drop if we do see that. So looking at the daily, we've closed that gap. 4 hourly. Okay, so I'll be looking for a break below 183.84. If we get a break below that level, then I see 180 as our next stop. So potential nice trading opportunity here. If we don't get a break below, be looking for that lower high from around 86, trading the inverted shoulder, trading the head and shoulders, but the right shoulder stops can go above the highs. So that's one opportunity. Pound Kiwi, look for a rally, look for a close of the gap somewhere into 2.02, and then we can look to trade this market down. I am looking for Kiwi strength at the minute, so decent trading opportunity there. Pound Swissy, nothing here on this chart. Euro Pound, I'd need to see a break of sort of 87 now to see further decline in Euro Pound. As it stands, there's no trades here for me. Okay guys, that's it from myself, Mark Owen at Trade and Train. If you've got any questions about the information that's been delivered today, please don't hesitate to ask or drop me an email at mark@tradeandtrain.com. Like I said earlier, we have 2 free events this month, one in London on the 24th and one in Birmingham on the 25th of October. If you'd like to attend either event or know any traders that would potentially like to come, drop me an email and register for free. I'll send you the link. Okay, that's it. Have a great trading week, guys. Speak soon.